Welcome to Inspire and Move, the show that inspires you to create, connect, and grow. I'm going to bring you meaningful conversations, aha moments, and all the motivation you need to up-level every part of your life. I'm Ali Aruda, founder of Inspire and Move, and your personal hype girl. I've gone from fashion school to celebrity stylist to corporate marketing to brick and mortar entrepreneurship with my husband, each time learning incredible lessons how to pivot, reimagine, and implement the steps to become successful. I'm passionate about inspiring others to live their best life, a life of joy. We have the power to design a life that we love, because life is too short not to. The best part is that you weren't meant to do this alone. If you feel like you are meant for more, let me ride shotgun with you, and together, let's get you to where you want to go. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Inspire and Move podcast. We are here in the beautiful Pearl Street studio in downtown Burlington, Ontario, right next to Benchmark Fitness, and I am joined in studio with my favorite co-host.
Hi, everybody.
Matt Aruda. Hey, babe, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Don't you just love these studio days together?
Great times.
I feel like it's been a minute because we have been on a bit of a sprint. We've had a nice little travel circuit. We have been in some really expansive energy within the walls of Benchmark.
Yeah, it's been the last few weeks have been more, it's been more of like the last few months, I'd say, have been very expansive, moving very quickly. Days are very full, and a lot of times doing things we haven't done before. So you're learning a lot along the way too.
100%. And I feel like today's episode is so beautifully timed with closing out the month of March. We looked at our numbers last night and we had set a really big stretch goal for ourselves for the month of March in terms of Benchmark and all of our business. And it was a big, scary goal. But the good news about big, scary goals is you hustle your butts off to work towards them and achieve them.
Yeah, that last week or this past week, I guess, leading up to what the goal mark was, we were moving, man. Like we were putting in whatever we wanted to get out of this, and we earned it.
And it was a revenue-based goal. It's just so everyone has context. So always looking and talking about the numbers and what that looks like. So on the heels of that, this feels really awesome to be sharing some of our takeaways for one of our recent trips to Newport Beach for the Elite Entrepreneur Mastermind.
Yeah, we had spent, what was it, 4 days there? 4 days, 3 nights.
Yes, we were there for 6, but the mastermind was 4.
Yeah, 4 days, 3 nights for the mastermind specifically. And we're in a room with almost 50 super highly motivated, high impactful people that are in every industry across the board. They're not just fitness industry people. And the beauty of that is you create the connections into different things that you need. For example, I needed some help with payment processing and potentially business registrations in different parts of the States. And we don't know where to go with that. And lo and behold, we sit in our group and the person who does know how to do it is 3 seats beside me. And so you have your conversations, you make your connections, we have our dinners, we have our breakfasts, our break times, lunches, all the stuff. And you obviously spend a lot more time with these people outside of the classrooms, outside of the sessions. In fact, would you say you probably have the best connections and aha moments when you're not in the 9 to 5 per se?
I totally agree. And I mean, even giving people a high level play by play of what this looked like, that we got there for, the kickoff on a Monday afternoon. And then we had all day Tuesday, all day Wednesday, and all day Thursday. Tuesday was a really fun day because it was, you're in session Tuesday morning, but Tuesday afternoon, we took a bus ride to the beach for Beach Olympics. That, you think of that as your quote unquote team building. And it was a blast. But this amazing conversation, I know it's our friend Peter Harrington that you're talking about. We had such a good conversation on the bus.
There you go.
We were on the bus for, let's call it 15 minutes, driving both ways. And you sit, 2 by 2, and you have these great conversations. And so going into it with that mindset and the space for networking and connection is really powerful, and it's going to make for a better experience for you. And that's something I know we really want to dive into today. But I think it would even be cool because that I have had this Elite Entrepreneur Mastermind on my vision board for about 5 years.
Yeah.
It is run by our dear friend, Chris Harder. This was year number 8 for him. And so I've been following this for a number of years, and it has always been on my bucket list, my vision board. It's a healthy investment. And it is for businesses that are making $500,000 or more annually.
And most in there are making 7 figures, 8 figures or more. So even if you're not there, it's still really amazing to be amongst the teams of people that are doing those kinds of numbers and have been doing them for a regular period of time, because you start learning the secrets, right? You start learning the shortcuts as to how you get there quicker while not compromising any of the impact you want to make. This is not, let's be very clear, this is not a room that allows you to squeeze more money out of your clients and just find the bottom line as being the reason why you're there. Not at all. It's the exact opposite. It's how you can, I think, find new ways of finding new services to impact more people. The money is the byproduct of that. The revenue is the byproduct of you impacting more people and doing it well, because you might get lucky and have 1 good month, 2 good months, but your reputation precedes you. And in business, especially something like ours, it's brick and mortar that requires people to physically walk into our space and interact with us and the community for that matter. You can't fluke your way to a successful run of business in the kind of business that we have, and for so many others, because there's too many options out there for other people to say, well, I got screwed for this or that, and I'm going somewhere else. It's not to say that we make everybody happy. Far from it. Can't be everything to everyone, obviously. But the beauty of these rooms, and we'll get into this, is how your success is entirely based off of the impact that you create.
Mm-hmm. And for you, how did you feel signing up and making the investment to go into this room for the first time, knowing that, I mean, outside of being the best husband ever and a super supportive partner, that something that I've wanted for a really long time, but how did you feel in terms of making that commitment and an investment? It's a year-long membership, again, for context, or pardon me, mastermind, not membership. How did you feel?
Spending a big chunk of money in anything that doesn't necessarily equate to immediate revenue from a business standpoint here is always scary. So when we sign up to an event or we sign up for anything that is what we feel will strengthen a part of our business, if not our immediate business, that's scary because it's not necessarily a regular thing that we do. So my initial thought was, holy shit, it's a lot of money. And that goes away quickly when you recognize the people that are in the room and who the people that are in the room, that these people are very smart people. And not just smart with their business, but smart in life. They choose the right people around them. They make mistakes quickly so that they can grow from it. And they're smart with their money. So if this is good for 40 some odd other very well achieved humans, who am I to say that I can't or shouldn't be in that room? If there's the opportunity to be in that room and better ourselves individually, as a couple, certainly as a business and as business partners within that, then it'd be crazy not to take advantage of that.
I kind of feel like when it comes to making big investments like this, whether it be masterminds, one-day events, multi-day events, retreats, whatever it may be, that you could take this similar approach to investing in a company, like an actual business investment, and what your feeling is in terms of investing in the founder. That we are not only investing in, yes, the room and the people that we're going to meet, but we're investing the person that is running the mastermind. And we have a lot of love and respect and admiration for Chris. And now this year, his wife, Lori, also a dear friend, has joined in curating the experience and the room. And so, because of what they do and the high achievers, high performers that they are, that they're going to produce an excellent ROI in terms of that event investment and overall experience. And the energy in the room that you walk into is so electric because, to Matt's point, these people have, like, some of them have been there 5, 6, or all 8 years, but they just give off this confidence and this success and great energy. And I remember saying to you on the last night, which was the Thursday night, we were sitting around at dinner. I think I waited till we got back to our hotel room, that I had this like overwhelming emotion of happiness at one point, sitting at our end of the table with some good friends that we've known for a few years, and then someone that we just met, our friend Catherine, we met on the Sunday, that I just felt this overwhelming love and joy and just content that I had found our people.
They're definitely, I think I even made reference to that, right? It was one of our biggest takeaways is for so many years, we're walking around where we are and thinking to ourselves, oh, we have these big dreams and we have these big moves we want to make, but we don't know where the people are that are going to be able to support that for us, because in full transparency, we weren't getting it regularly, just doing the 9 to 5 and being where we're at here. We have great friends here, but from a business standpoint, what was going to allow us to move the needle on what we want to do and how we want to do it. I don't think it's a coincidence that benchmarks rise and their momentum that exists there, inclusive of not just the energy being increased, but the frequency of the person that has been attracted to benchmark in these last 2+ years directly correlates with when we've put ourselves in the rooms specifically to be pushed into this direction this quickly.
Oh my gosh, I couldn't agree more. You nailed that. And I think that we've said this many, many times. Like sometimes you actually just need to pay to make new friends.
Yeah.
And I think
in fact, somebody actually said that there. Yes.
So that's what they came to this mastermind for, is like, I'm looking for some high level friends. I am paying to make new friends. And sometimes you have to do that, because that is one of the best takeaways from events, masterminds that you can gain, that you probably have not maybe even gone in for, but it's one of the most powerful things that you can extract. So on that note, what, love, would you say are 3 powerful takeaways that you have from our first in-person Elite Entrepreneur Mastermind experience?
Sure. So the first one, I'll probably put it into like a 1A, 1B. So you made reference to how, what allowed us to really feel confident about joining this was having a belief or a confidence in who the founders of this were. In this case, Chris Harder and his wife, Lori Harder. Yes, they put on an incredible production along with the rest of their team that really execute flawlessly. But the power in that space is largely based off of the members who have decided to be there for the 3-4 days along with us, number one, but also the speakers that they brought in. People who have done things at a remarkably elevated level. And again, different industries, different ages. But the one thing that was consistent with them is that they had done what it is that we were all in that room looking to eventually do ourselves in some capacity or another, whether it be scaling and then selling, or to be able to elevate your marketing within the business that you are already in to extrapolate as much as you could out of that. There's a lot of things a lot of value that was in there, but one of the speakers specifically, it was our last speaker of the day, was the founder of Super Coffee.
Jimmy DeCicco.
Jimmy DeCicco. And Jimmy DeCicco is, I think he resonated with us because he was a little younger, in his 30s, and for me, he was an ex-college football player, so that hit home.
For me, he was a total babe.
So that hit home. No, for sure. I mean, I agree with you. The guy's a stud. But he also carried himself in such a confident way, like you made reference to, but not confident, cocky. Confident, I can help you because I've been there before.
And I want to help you.
And I want to help you. Yes, exactly. We ended up meeting him. He ended up being one of the nicest guys that I'd met that entire week. Just so humbling to meet somebody whose company is worth literally tens of millions of dollars. And at one point they had a valuation of $150 million, and they had to restructure and all the rest. So it's been brought down, and intentionally brought down, quite frankly. And the one thing that I learned from that, the B side of this one, is the reason he brought down the valuation of his company is because he trimmed a lot of it down. And in doing so had allowed himself to keep more of the back end, more revenue. And it is a very easy race to just keep on sprinting, building, and have something worth, in this case, $150 million. But because of how you've built it and what you've had to take on to build, whether it be other people's money or equipment, overhead, whatever it is, sure, the valuation of that is there because you have assets or people or loans that are worth this amount of money. But what do you actually own? What do you have left after all is said and done? And he has gone from a point where he is more valuable, he is more liquid to be able to say that he can sell this business and make more money at $50 million valuation now than what it was at $150 million. And the point in all of that story that I took from it is it's not what you make, it's what you keep. And it's a smart reminder that it's not enough to just build for the sake of building. You've got to do it in a way that allows you to be profitable enough to be able to reinvest into your business, reinvest into your community, while all at the same time, obviously earning a great lifestyle for you and your partners or whomever it is that you're in the business with.
Absolutely. And I think for me, some of the most powerful takeaways that I know we were just chatting about this in the car, that mine were a little bit more direct and super high level focused on us and our business and our growth for Benchmark is recognizing that, we already are quite proud of the content that we create in-house and creating authentic, organic content, but we need more. We have such a big vision and goals for the Benchmark brand, especially now that we have expanded into the online space with an app and our 6-week challenge that's currently underway. And we need to level up our content game. So I actually, at the mastermind, I think it was like day 2, I sent a voice note to our videographer, Matt, who's in studio with us today.
What's up, Matt?
Shout out, Matt. And I was like, okay, Matt, I don't know how you feel about this, but I think it's time that we chat about a monthly retainer and have you in the gym on, X, Y, or Z days or whatever this looks like. But let's set up a meeting when Matt and I are home and let's have a coffee in person and let's hit the ground running in April. Mm-hmm. So we've done that. And I think that's one of the things that I am most proud of us, like for me and you, especially since we have flexed our get in the room muscles, is we are so great at taking action.
We do not let enough time pass to fill our brains with all of the maybe nots, or what if this happens, or all of the questions that could derail fast. Mm-hmm. I think if you have it well thought out and you have a reason as to why it is you want to implement what it is you want to implement, the quickest way to implement it is to just do it. And it won't be executed, not to cut you off, but it won't be probably executed in its perfect way possible at the beginning, but progress over perfection.
Done better than perfect.
Oh, there's a million different ways that you can say this that allows you to not be so stuck in your head and in the process not go anywhere either.
The irony is I have such a hard time making a decision when it comes to what we have for dinner. When you ask me, do I want this or this? And it takes me like an hour to think of what it is. And I think I forfeit to you for you to make the decision. But when it comes to business decisions, I can make them so quickly.
Yeah.
Which is something that I have not always been good at. And that's the cool thing, is that you cannot be good at something and then you have to put in the reps to be good at something and to get good at something.
But there are things that you can think of, not to take us down that tangent, but there are things that you can then think of to determine, if this doesn't work out, what's the worst case scenario? We have a meeting with Matt and we say, okay, Matt, we want to put you on retainer for X amount per month, and we want it to result in X amount of videography or reels or whatever tangible component that you're putting towards this dollar amount. And you have great intentions for what it could look like. And maybe that retainer increases, maybe it decreases, or maybe 3 months down the road, you realize this is a waste of time for everybody and you axe it. But none of that comes to fruition without you knowing, right? Or without you trying. Mm-hmm. So the idea of getting back from a room like this and being full of all of the motivation, which is just a natural byproduct of all the incredible minds that are in there and what they've done and are continuing to do. But coming back and just sitting on your hands, nothing changes unless something changes. So you have to be willing to put some sort of difference maker in the water for something to be different.
Absolutely. And I think that's what we both came back with was, and we actually haven't even sat down and compared our notebooks yet.
It's because we've been going so fast.
We've been going so fast. And we actually want to do a mini mastermind presentation for our team to share all of our powerful takeaways, not only from the conversations that we had with our peers, but also what we learned from the keynote speakers and just like overall important nuggets that we are really inspired by, but we want our team to feel inspired by. Yeah. Because we are so proud to invest into these rooms. And what's the fun in doing that if you can't take people along with you, like sharing our takeaways here with all of you guys in this podcast episode, but also with our team. And that's something, again, kind of going back to some of the takeaways that, leveling up on our content game, but also getting ready to dish out some more money when it comes to advertising. That we have built the success of Benchmark Fitness on referrals, social media, and walk-by traffic. All 3 amazing ways to generate business, but we don't have any skin in the game yet in terms of moving the needle forward for getting the brand out there on a larger scale.
And I think that's worked out well in the sense where we have a brick and mortar community-based luxury gym space that you need to be in some sort of close proximity to for this to be a realistic option for you to use. Mm-hmm. But now that we have moved into the online world where we have our first ever Benchmark Fitness app, and like you mentioned, we're in the midst of our first 6-week challenge. There's another one coming in June. We're gonna have a full-fledged, entirely different catalog of things to utilize out of this app by the end of the year. we have to be in a mindset where we've got to put the work in now so that when it's launched in Q3, Q4 of this year, ideally, that we've done all of the prep work or a lot of the prep work to make ourselves better known in a bubble larger than the one we currently have operated within.
And some of the things that were also big takeaways with our peers in the room, like one of the biggest was actually getting out of your own way. And we could apply that into anything. Like you could apply that into the gym, which I know I do a lot of analogies with working out and fitness, but it's what we know and it's our business. So you could apply that into the gym or anywhere in life. But for entrepreneurs and founders, getting out of your own way and focusing on your greatest strengths, your zone of genius, where you need to automate, where you need to hire, that was a really big takeaway.
Yeah, and you heard it again and again. So you kind of, people don't even need to tell you, here's the playbook. If you're astute enough and you listen properly, you're going to hear the patterns of what all these remarkably accomplished people do. And you hear the same things over and over again, one of which is they step back and let the team be the ones that run. You hire who you are not. And so when you're hiring people for whatever it is that you're doing, whether it be people within our gym space or in this case, we hire somebody like Matt who does things better than we could, faster than we could, more professionally than we could. We actually just brought on our first ever VA, and that VA is going to do things that maybe we could do, but this VA is going to do it quicker and it's going to take it off of our plate. It's going to buy back our time, right? And that's what's going to allow us to go push other things further to make more of an impact, as opposed to being bogged down in the weeds, right? With not things that aren't important, but they're not valuable enough for us to think that we should be the ones to do it while simultaneously building a business.
Absolutely. And I think even kind of as a sidebar to that, talking about energy and where you expel and spend your energy. And we actually heard this back last year with Jeff Fenster at the dinner series.
I love Jeff Fenster.
I know you do. You guys kind of look the same too. About deposits and withdrawals. And again, you can apply that into many different ways of business and life, but let's take the subject of energy and depositing into your energy bank account and withdrawing from it. And our friend Aaron King gave an amazing keynote about energy and really knowing yourself and your energy levels. There's one thing to say, are you an extrovert, an introvert, extroverted, introvert, all that. But really, like, how do you best perform? And she had us all stand up and separated us into different quadrants or groups of 5. What was your group?
Challengers.
And what did that mean for you?
It was based off of where do you get your energy from, right? So where I get my most amount of energy is by being challenged into something that either I haven't done before or conversely, something that I know I'm really good at. It's almost I looked around my group of who my challengers were, a lot of athletes there, a lot of people who felt like it was literally go time. You put us in a room and it was actually very funny where we all got into our groups of I think there's 5 different groups, you're right. But the groups could be whatever amount of numbers they are. You fit into wherever you fit in. And ironically, once we all got into our groups, I remember Aaron settling us all back down. And I looked around the room and all of the other groups had sat down and the challengers were the only ones standing.
Yes,
ready to go. And it wasn't planned. It's just literally what it was. So it's case in point of we are built to do something, built to build something or to achieve something and to almost have it that we are wanting to exert some sort of action to be able to prove to ourselves and the people around us what it is that brings us the energy. And that's what it is. It's just having something to do that challenges us that I think is what brings the energy.
I'm sure mine will come as a big shock to people that I was in the connector group.
Yeah, shocking.
That I thrive with connection and community. I mean, I definitely like my own alone time, but I do really well in groups of people and making sure that people feel seen and heard and connected and supported. And I think we actually were one of the largest groups, which is fitting for being in a mastermind group. But I think those are some really powerful things to think about as well for anybody, but also if you are listening to this and you are a business owner, you are an entrepreneur, understanding what kind of energy that you operate from and setting yourself up and your team and your routines so that you can be in your zone of genius and operating at that full energy capacity.
And, one of the things that Erin had made reference to as well, from a standpoint of energy, is I remember hearing her, and I don't want to butcher her words, but something along the lines of your energy will precede your actual introduction. So you being in the room physically, you could be there all day long and no one could even know that you were actually there because your energy didn't say anything. Alternatively, you could be walking into the room and be so energetic and have so much presence that you can only be there for 15 minutes and it seems like you lit the entire room on fire because you've made that kind of an impact already through your energy alone. And in something like a mastermind where, yes, we are paying to be in that room, that's one thing, but you can 100% make that analogy into really any room you're in, whether you are intentionally spending time with family members, your loved ones, clients, anything or anybody, your pets. If you have brought the energy to want to be a part of that space and in front of that person to the best of your ability, and I know that doesn't mean that we're all going to be working at 100% all the time. Everyone here has days or parts of days, let's say, where we're not 100% high vibe, or you had a crappy sleep, or you got some bad news. This is all completely normal. But as much as you can control it, the best way to affect your success is to be able to bring the highest amount of enthusiasm and energy to whatever it is that you're walking into, because who doesn't want to be around that? And the ones who don't want to be around that, they're not going to help you build anything anyway. So off they go.
I love that. Okay. On the heels of build something, how do you feel this mastermind or masterminds in general impact your vision as an entrepreneur?
More expansively, I would say. It also lent itself to line up at a time where we are getting ready to launch, and had already launched within its infancy stages at that point, at least, a part of our business we never have before. We've only ever worked with physical brick and mortar business components. And now we're looking at online and really, hopefully, impacting as many people as we can there. Thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands, hopefully, is who we impact through the various ways that this app is going to be able to be downloaded and used. So walking into a room, seeing people be not just so successful in their own business, but wanting to help you be just as successful in yours, I think will forever be something that I'm grateful for in these kinds of rooms, because it reiterates that these kinds of people don't want you to do this by yourself. It reminds me of, you want to get somewhere fast, you go by yourself. You want to go somewhere far, you bring a lot of people with you. And I think I heard Dan Martell say that.
I was just listening to Dan Martell this morning, getting ready.
That's ironic that, yes,
and
it's
he said
true.
Exactly that.
There you go. And it's something that people say, not just Dan Martell, not just Matt Aruda. It's something that many people say because it's true. There's a reason behind it, right? There's no way that there's one player on the ice at a time in a hockey game, or one player on the field at a time in a football game. You need a bunch of people to go further and be more impactful accordingly. And that's, I think, what that room does.
We've said this so many times when we have these conversations together on the podcast about just the power of getting in the room. And I think, for all of you listening, if you've never gotten in a room before, I would start small. Start by maybe even just finding who inspires you and investing in books and podcasts. Those are either free or low ticket ways of finding your people, the person, the message, the energy that you are attracted to. And then I would go to maybe a short event, like a few hours, and then graduate to a full day event. And then you go beyond that to, it's a 1-day mastermind or a 2-day mastermind, or 1 4-day mastermind one time in the year before you work your way up and you continue to flex your mastermind muscle, and investing in those larger rooms, those higher ticket investments.
But make a connection where you can, right? No matter what the size of this investment is, albeit maybe a little more difficult with a podcast per se, but you go to a 10-person book reading at the local community center, or you go to an 8,000-person event at the local arena. Either way, if you can, make a connection with somebody, because it's going to be a lot easier for you both to keep each other accountable to whatever your goals are versus you immersing yourself for a few hours and then going back to your regular scheduled program where life is busy and going to easily pull you off of what your goals are. It's much easier to stay aligned and on track when you have somebody who ideally you met doing the exact same thing that you went to, keeping you attached to why you were there in the first place.
Well, there's something so powerful about accountability, and we see that a lot even, again, in the gym, that I have some of my clients that I've been training for 3 years and they know how to work out. But for so many of them, they pay for the accountability. They have an appointment 2-3 times a week. They're going to show up. They're going to work out. They're going to work out harder with their trainer than on their own. And that's the same, with getting in the room and masterminds. You're paying for that accountability. You're paying for these new friends that are aligned just like you.
Yep.
And are going to support you in your challenging seasons, in your successful seasons, celebrating your big wins.
I was talking to a member this morning at the class that we were at, and he was partnered up with somebody who he had not been partnered up with before. And I'll use their names. It was Jamie. Jamie was partnered with Teresa. And we were in between a couple of stations and we're all feeling it. It was a hard workout. Shout out Coach Kayla. And Jamie came up to me and was like, I really like working out with Teresa. She pushes me to lift heavier than what I would do otherwise on my own. And
I heard that.
And I asked him to tell her that, because that's motivating for both people, right?
Sure.
He's motivated to see what she's doing, and she in turn has got to feel good about knowing that she's impacting somebody by just doing what she's working on herself. And that kind of stuff is it's a microcosm of what happens when you get in the right rooms, right? You get pushed in the right directions to do the right things, or at least to do things you haven't done before to make you better, or at least as close as possible to being a better version of yourself.
And what's the other thing that you love saying about getting in the room?
Without question, every single time, getting in the room is just simply put the shortcut.
Shortcut.
That's it. It's the legal way to cheat.
Well, I think that, getting in rooms for us, this mastermind experience was a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
And we get to go back and do it again in October. We have some things that we have committed to, some wagers, some, personal challenges, some business challenges. Amongst everybody else in the room, everybody made a commitment. And again, it speaks to the power of the accountability, that we're so fired up to do something physically challenging. We're going to do something challenging for our business and move the needle. We're not only going to move the needle forward in how we're training and showing up, but we have such big goals to continue building, and big dreams, big vision, that we're going to continue working so hard towards.
Yeah.
Because not only do we want it, but we want to tell all our friends.
Yeah, and we have people who are relying on us to push this needle and be impactful for them too. So it would be selfish of us to not do this.
And speaking of moving the needle forward, Matt already kind of dropped it here, but we have the second Benchmark Fitness 6-week challenge kicking off on June 2nd. So we will have all of those details in the show notes that you guys can check out. You can join the early access list.
And the first group of people have just been smashing it. And in full transparency, they've been loving it too. Working out is hard. It's called a challenge for a reason, because it's not easy. But if you can commit to it, we've got their back, obviously. We are making sure that accountability is on the daily with them. And we have not just the workouts, but we have the recoveries, we have the meal plans, all of these things that if you show up, we will more than come halfway to you. So if it's something that sounds like you want to be a part of for this next one, which is on June 2nd and goes for 6 weeks with all the accountability, you just literally need to follow what the app tells you. It doesn't require a ton of critical thinking, but it will make you better. It's going to instill habits that maybe you haven't done before with maybe this kind of consistency or at all. But that's what we're here to try and do, is implement good things to make you stronger and better.
And it can be anywhere. We've got people in California,
Yep.
Arizona, Australia, Toronto, all over. So that's been really fun to have and see the Benchmark Fitness brand expand beyond Burlington, Ontario.
That's
and
the point.
That's the exact point. So until next time, thank you guys all so much for being here, for listening. If you are so inclined to leave a 5-star rating and review, we would be so grateful.
You sure would.
Thanks for being here, love.
Thanks for having me.
Always so fun being in the studio with you. So until next time, guys, thank you so much. Mwah. See you soon.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you so much for listening. If you loved this episode, it would mean so much to me if you took a few seconds and shared this on social media, sent it to a friend, or left a 5-star review. There is power in community, and I'm so grateful to have you part of mine.